Okay, so what we're talking about today, we're going to do a detox. You guys, you know, you've been trying so hard and it's to get everything done, and sorry, I've just got to let a few people in. Gosh, it's always the same. I really do apologise, guys. Joe, can you let people in? Are you allowed? And you've gone quiet.
No, I didn't get that power,
Get
sorry.
that power. I am the power one. Right, okay. So, I am the all-powerful. I think that's it. If anyone comes now, I'm not going to let them in. Right, okay, so that's it. You're in or you're not in. So if anybody comes from now, we're not letting them in. We're just going to get started. Okay, so we are recording. Oh my God.
You're letting some more in.
Yeah, it's Sophie. Sophie, you're late.
Sophie's been there for ages.
Well, she's just been in and out.
Oh, right.
Okay, so we're all in. Right, housekeeping, and then we're moving, and that's it. If it all switches off for whatever reason, don't move, stay still. Zoom brings us all back in. You don't have to worry about it. Just stay still, stay where you are, and it will all come back. I had a few calls last week where Zoom just kept popping you out and then popping you all back in. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry. Okay, so what are we doing today? So you guys, the reason you're here is you want this detox. You've been doing so much stuff. You've been trying to do stuff and it's not working. And you know what? It's probably not your fault because everybody's giving you answers. There are about 1 billion webinars like this one you could come on. There are 1 billion things you could learn. There are 1 billion things you could do. And we're finding ourselves, and I don't know about you guys, but I certainly find myself in this consumption mode, you know, just taking more and more and more and more in, more things to join, and you know, this is not really helping you. All that's happening is that your list is getting longer, you're getting busier, but you're getting less productive. So there is a very simple, but it's not easy, way to break through all of this entrepreneurial overload and to get rid of the fear of missing out and the guilt. And this is what we're going to talk about today. This is the whole essence of today, is we're going to get the stuff, the stuff that's on your list, and we're going to manage it, and we're going to take control of it, and we're going to put some constraints on it. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to be running the slides, so forgive me if I pop my head over here every now and then. I'm going to share our screen with you for a moment. So who are you talking to? Who's talking to you? I'm Debbie Jenkins, for anybody who doesn't know me, and I'm an expert at creating chaos. You know, if you want chaos made, come to me. And Joe, who are you?
So I'm Joe Gregory. I'm a publisher. I've been creating chaos since 1997 when I started my first business.
Okay, so us guys, if you want chaos made, we can do it. But we're also experts at getting you out of the chaos into creation and into creating things. So we're all feeling this overload, this fear of missing out. I mean, that's I don't know, guys, that's for me, one of the things is like, well, if I don't go on that course or if I don't go into that webinar, what am I going to miss out and what deal am I going to miss out on? And we're in this consuming mode of it's exhausting. I'm exhausted of how much I could consume, and I could just spend my whole life consuming. And when we end up in this consumption mode, it's like you kind of end up comparing yourself to other people, what they're doing, how well they're doing, and you put yourself into this it's a really horrible state of mind where you're comparing what you're doing with other people, and it makes you feel really guilty because they look like they're really successful and they're doing all this fantastic stuff, and you can start to feel a little bit stressed about it, and it's kind of tiring. So today what we're asking you to do is to get out of this cached thinking of consumption mode, to keep putting stuff in, and to stop doing some things and to start doing some things. But look, let me explain, because this whole idea of this cached consumption and this cache mode, let me just explain for a minute how I think about where we all are at the moment. I am a chaos expert. I can create chaos out of nothing. And we're all living in this chaotic world at the moment, and we think perhaps it's more chaotic now than ever. But I promise you, it's probably always been this chaotic. It just feels more chaotic while we're living through it. Now, I've got a little demonstration for you. Okay, this is your brain, and these white balls are your expertise. These are the things you know how to do. These are the things you get paid for doing for your clients. This is your knowledge. These are the things that you are expert at doing. And you've got them all bouncing around in your brain. And what we're doing at the moment when we're consuming stuff is we're adding webinars. We're adding books. We're adding the podcasts. And the courses. And it starts to get a little bit busy in your brain. And these things are useful. These things that we need these things. We need these inputs to our brains because these are the things that help us be more creative. And however, there are, you know, I'm sure scientifically it's not true, but there are only so many things you can cram into your brain. And the more things you cram in, the more courses you go on, the more books you read, the more ideas you have, the fuller this brain gets, and it gets a bit more turgid, and the ideas bounce around a little bit less, and they're not touching one another, and they're not having idea sex or whatever it is you want to call it. They're creating fewer, the white stuff, your ideas, they're creating fewer IP. At a certain point, and I think perhaps we're feeling this now, there is just no more space, there is no more movement. The chaos has overtaken your brain. There is no space. So our goal today, our desire for ambition for you is that by the end of today, you will have got rid of lots of these things in here that you don't need anymore, that aren't going to serve you, that aren't going to create, generate revenue for you or increase value for your business. That's our goal for you today. So back to the slides, we're going to talk about what you need to stop doing and start doing. Okay, so these inputs that I explained in our rather full brain, these inputs are really, really, really important for creation. But these inputs, they go into this circle, into your brain, and they race around, and they, you know, they cause the chaos. They're part of the chaos, and they cause the chaos. And these inputs are coming from all the different places as discussed. And you need to synthesize these ideas, pull them together, create new ideas from them, and surface the best ideas. It's a little bit like Tinder for ideas, where you can swipe the rubbish ideas and select, or the ugly ideas, and select the ideas that you actually want to take forward. But when your brain is so full of chaos, you can't do that. So our goal is to get you to not be thinking of chaos as a problem, as a bug in the system, but to be chaos as a feature. Chaos helps you come up with creation. And I believe that it's your responsibility as experts, as entrepreneurs, as thought leaders, as the small business owners that you are, it's your responsibility to create. It's your responsibility to create courses, to create products, to create books, to create things so that you can help your clients get better at what they're doing and solve their problems. And our goal today is that you will find out what the things you should be doing to get to this creation. Now, creation is an output thing. Creation is not in here. This is thinking. Creation is an output thing. It has to get into the outside world. How do you get from loads of stuff in your brain to creation things, to these minimum valuable assets that people can take and use and create better lives with? How do you get there? Well, I believe you have to start with constraints. You have to start with stopping. You have to decide what things are you not going to do. And that is what the detox is about. So in the constraints part of this model, there are things like stop, and there are things like go, and there's recycle and upcycle. And there are the constraints that you have set upon you, like money. There's only so much of it. There's perhaps even less time. And there are resource constraints. So today we're going to look at getting rid of some of the things that are in your brain. And that is one of the biggest constraints. And the best constraints are binary constraints. Yes, no, go, no go, stop, start. these are the best constraints, and our goal today is to get you to get rid of some constraint, of some of the crazy chaos that's going into your head with a constraint. And the constraint we're going to do today is the detox. The business detox, because basically, effectively and efficiently doing the wrong things isn't productivity. And I know you'll have probably been on productivity courses or read the productivity books to get to do more stuff, but doing the wrong things isn't productivity, it's waste. And our goal is to get you out of waste and to get you out of the madness. Okay, so where did the detox come from? I'm going to hand over to Joe, who's going to explain to you where we came up with this detox idea.
Yeah, so a little bit of backstory about me and Debs. We started a business together in 1997 and it grew really quickly. So today it would be called a digital marketing agency. That term hadn't been invented then. As part of our growth strategy, if you can call it that, we just said yes to everything. Any idea, anything we thought we could use to market and promote our business, we'd do. Any client asked us if we could do it, we'd pretty much say yes and solve it within the constraints of digital marketing. And we grew and grew and we grew quickly. Within 3 years, we had 12 employees, large offices, and we kept growing and growing, but it was getting more and more chaotic, and there were more and more projects that we'd started and not necessarily finished, and more clients coming on board and asking us to do more and more things that we said yes to. It stopped being fun. About 3 years in, the business stopped being fun. And so Debs and I sat down, we worked out what our ideal day looked like. And then out of that, we created some tools. Out of necessity, we created some tools to help us clear our to-do list, to stop doing things that we shouldn't be doing, to be able to focus on the things we should be doing. And we started testing them and using them with our clients. And to our surprise and theirs, they worked really well. You know, we started to develop, and we'd worked with a lot of lean manufacturing consultancies. So we started to use these processes to strip waste out of our marketing, strip waste out of our businesses, and then started testing them in the real world on our business and with our clients, and we got good results. So the detox is one of the tool sets that we use within the lean marketing to clear stuff before we get on with doing anything else. As a result of what we did, we ultimately sacked our biggest client. They were worth about £250,000 a year, so they're a big client, but they also created most of the chaos in our business and most of the challenge. And eventually we changed direction. So another 3 years later, we were actually publishing, and we started with one book, which is where these tools were written down and recorded. The Gorillas Want Bananas, a lean marketing handbook for small expert businesses. And I don't know about Debs, but I use these processes all the time to help me sort stuff out. I tend to forget. And so every so often I have to do a stock take and then use this tool to just clear some of the stuff I thought was a good idea at the time. So back to you, Deb.
So, right, now, the rest of this event is going to be over to you. We're going to show you a tool. We're going to ask you to do stuff with the tool. We're going to ask you to think about your specific business and what you're doing. But to be honest, the only way this is going to work is if you are honest with yourselves. So you have to be honest with yourself. You can't trick yourself. I mean, you can, but you know, what's the benefit? So we're asking you to be honest with yourselves. We want you in the next, we're going to give you 10 minutes to take your time, write down all the tasks that you are working on at the moment. So write them each one on an individual post-it note if you have post-it notes. If you don't have post-it notes, write them down on a list on a piece of paper. And we'll look at them afterwards in the next thing. But the first thing, this is a big brain dump. So get everything that's going on in your head, get it out, get it down onto pieces of paper, on post-it notes if possible. And the things that we want you to put on the post-it notes are anything that you're doing in your business that you think is necessary to make your business work, or you would like to do to make your business work. So things like marketing stuff, things like ideas you'd like to develop, tasks that you feel like you must do or that you're in the middle of doing, any unfinished stuff, get them all down on pieces of paper. Because
I'd also add things that you want to learn, or things that you're doing, courses, things you're joining. Those kinds of things.
Yeah, the things you're consuming. Because I've forgotten his name, the Get Things Done guy, he always says that the brain is for having ideas, not for keeping them. So get them out of your brain onto pieces of paper, and let's go into the next step. So you're going to get 10 minutes.
Can I ask you to also keep count of your ideas, and if you don't mind, pop in the score, how many things you had at the beginning into the chat, so we can see how you're doing.
Yeah, so we would like some interaction in the chat. Because there's quite a few people on the call, we're probably not going to ask anybody to speak necessarily until the end. But if you've got questions or you've got stuff to that you want us to discuss, pop it in the chat and we'll discuss it as a group. So I'd love to know, like Joe said, we'd love to know how many items you've got on your list at the moment. So you've now got 10 minutes. This is the bell you're going to hear in 10 minutes time. You can switch your screens off if you want, but don't switch your video off. Listen for us. Okay, so we'll see you in 10 minutes time. If you've just joined us, if you can see the slide on the screen, if you've just joined us, what we'd like you to do at the moment is make a list of all your marketing ideas, all the things that you're thinking of doing for your business. Just make them list or put them on post-it notes if you've got your post-it notes for those people who've just joined us. Are we all back? Okay, I'm just going to have a quick scan of faces. Yeah, looks like you all heard the bell. I'll explain what that bell is really for later, but not only to the girls. Okay, so hopefully that was interesting. Does anybody like to put a number in the chat of how many activities they've got on their list? 22. Jennifer, I don't believe that. It's got to be more than that.
15, 12. I think 12's a low number. That's quite good, isn't it? I wish I only had 12.
That's good. Far too many, Carrie. I had 21 and stopped there. Yeah. We got some people down there with 10s and 11s. I like it. Okay, so it's more than one. I think is like what we're learning, that the number of things we are handling in the chaos in our head at any one time is more than one. And these things, some of them are going to be so valuable to our business and so really, really, really useful, and others less so. So that's what the detox is about, is to get the stuff out of your head so that you can work out what the best things to do and move forwards. Now, we're going to go on to the next one. But there will be a prize for somebody who comes up with the most of these next ones. So let's just have that in your mind, that there's going to be a prize. Right, so the next thing we've got to do, so we've got this big list, you've got all your post-it notes with all the different things on that you could be doing, or you've got your long list. Okay, now we're going to get down to actually doing something with them. So the truth chart. Remember I told you have to be truthful. You have to tell yourself the truth. You have to be, no one is looking over your shoulder. No one is going to judge you or tell you that you're wrong or right. And the truth chart is going to be different for everybody, but you do have to be truthful. Now, in the truth chart, we have 5 columns. We have generate revenue. That means it has to be guaranteed pretty much that it's going to make you some money. If you do the task that you're going to put into that column, if you do that task, you will make money. Okay. The second column is increase value. Now, value is assets for your business, basically, is one of the easiest ways to think about it. Value is assets for your business. So these are the tasks and the things that you might do that will create more value in your business, that will increase the value of your business. And these could be things like procedures or processes or assets or products, things that add value to your business.
You can also say in that column things that might come here in terms of process, or things that save you time and money, so they make running your business better. Yeah,
good. Thanks, Joe. And Joe, jump in whenever I forget something, please do. In the necessary column, these are the things that you know you've got clients, so they have needs. You have to meet those needs. You've sold them something and you have to deliver it. So you might have some tasks that you're going to put in necessary that belong to clients. But the other things that might go in your necessary column are promises that you've made to clients, promises that you've made to suppliers, promises that you've made to complementary businesses. You might also have protocol things. These are the legal things that you must get round to doing. Like pay your taxes. And you might also have processes. The process of, for example, you take on a new client and you send an invoice. So that has to go in the necessary task. And also there in this column, we're adding anything that might send you to prison. So if you're going to get in trouble, stick it in the necessary column. Okay, I'm going to jump over don't know yet, go straight over to stop and to not do. These are the things that now you've listed them out, and you considered, well, are they going to generate revenue? Are they going to increase value? Are they necessary? And your answer to all of those questions is no, 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 no. They might have to go in this red column, and this red column means don't do it, stop. If you don't feel comfortable about throwing them in the red column, you can put them in the don't know yet column, and we'll look at them again later. So we've got generate revenue, increase value, necessary. We're going to put all our tasks that we believe are able to generate revenue, increase value, or are necessary into one of those 3 columns. And then later we're going to do a pain and gain chart on them.
Now, if anybody's just using, they're writing this out, GIN, and no, you'll be dumping them anyway. You'll just put a line through them. And no, don't know yet, put a question mark. But we're not doing don't know yet, just you'll find those. It spells gin, by the way. That is intentional.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be having after the call. So generate revenue, increase value necessary. We're going to move to the pain and gain afterwards. No, we're just going to stop. You're going to actually have a pile of things you're not going to do. If you don't know yet, you stick them in the don't know yet, and then they'll move on to the why chart. Now you're probably thinking, oh, I'm not really sure what she's talking about. I'm not sure. You know, I can see that we've got some questions from people in here. So let's do an example, and that might answer some of your questions. If it doesn't answer your questions, we will answer them. But let's do an example. Okay, so here's a plain chart. So you could draw it out like this, or you could have one piece of paper for each of these columns, and you could move your post-it notes onto the columns, or as Joe says, you can write a G, an I, or an N next to the generate revenue, increase value necessary, or a question mark next to don't know, or cross it out if you're not going to do it. Let's have a look at what type of things you might be having. Here are some that Joe and I came up with earlier. These are just some of the things that some of our clients have been saying they're doing, and actually some of the things we're thinking of doing, and so we're also taking through the detox. So for example, make a product, or write a book, edit video, do GDPR, get company merchandise, create a course, make a membership site, follow up on leads, set up your lead management system, some sort of customer relationship management system, get a new logo made. Yeah, who doesn't want a new logo? Do a webinar, update your website, all these different things that you could be doing. So at the moment, you've got them in piles around your desk, just like we have on the screen. Okay, so we're going to take a couple of these and we're going to show you our logic for where we'll put them, remembering that this is just an example. What you decide to do for your business is going to be right for you, but this is a way of helping you clear some of the chaos by using constraints. And the constraints are, does it generate revenue? Does it increase value? Is it necessary? You don't know yet, or none of the above, so therefore it's a no. Okay, so here's some examples from us. So one of the first ones we're going to take through is set up a customer relationship management system, you know, how you manage the inquiries through to selling a product. Joe and I thought, well, for this fictional company that we're imagining, we'll put that in necessary. Because the management of your clients is a necessary task that you need to do. Okay, another one that we thought would do following up on leads. Let's say you've been to a networking event, and it's unlikely at the moment, and you've got a load of business cards. Following up on those leads, that would generate revenue. If you followed up on those leads, you could actually convert those to business. Following up
I
on
just
leads,
say on this one, we often want to do other ideas because some of these things that generate revenue feel a bit less comfortable. So it's nice to learn about lead systems rather than actually getting on the phone or emailing potential leads.
And follow-up leads, actually, whilst not only does it sound a little bit hard, like, you know, if you don't like phoning people up or messaging them or asking them for the sale, so not only is it difficult, it also seems like it's that you should be doing something more fancy or sort of exciting, or, you know, spending your time and energy somewhere else, whereas following up on leads will actually generate business, generate revenue. Okay, number 3, create a course. We're going to create a course. Where will we move to create a course to? We think that the likelihood of creating a course that's very specific to your target market will increase the value of your business. Not only will it generate revenue, but it will actually be an asset for the business in the future and be recurring revenue.
And I just add, it's got the potential to generate revenue if you sell it. So that's why it's not directly generate revenue. It's increased value because it gives you an asset that you can then send traffic to potentially sell.
Make membership site. We think that again, in that same category as Joe just said, it has massive potential to increase the value of your business and to generate revenue now and in the future. GDPR, everyone's favourite. Well, it's necessary. You know, there is a very, very slim chance that if you don't handle the GDPR regulations well, you go to prison. So, like, well, you know, just do it. Just get over it and get it done. It's a necessary task to get finished. And do your accounts. Well, you know, doing your accounts are necessary because, well, the tax man would like some tax. So you need to get on and get that job done. We've got lots of other things you could put in. You'll probably have a list that's completely different to this. It might have some of the same things. It might be, you know, your business. It's not wrong. Whatever you've got in there is right. You now need to decide where you're going to put them. So Joe and I just decided we were going to move all the rest of them and put them into don't know yet or no. So Joe, why shouldn't we get company merchandise at the moment for our
At the
fictional?
moment, we've got no events running. There's no need for it. It's just going to be a cost money task. I would just say we're not saying getting company merch isn't a good idea. It always, nearly all of these, the answer is it depends, and it depends what else you've got going on in your business and what you're trying to achieve. So Rosemary asked, what if you've recently launched, like increasing value, having some sort of product like the Creator course or a membership site or a program would be a good place to start, whereas other people might say, I don't need to create a product, I've already got products. So getting company merch at the moment, while we can't go anywhere, isn't probably high on most people's list.
Yeah, and for example, getting a new logo, you know, is your current logo sufficient? Is it good enough? Does it do the job? Are you just doing this because it's like it's fun, or it's something you'd like to do, or you sort, or in fact someone else did it, so we pop that in the note for now. This for now is really, really important. You're making a decision for now. It doesn't mean it's the decision forever. So for now, make a decision, get over the decision, decide, move on. So we put that in no. Some things that we put in don't know yet, which we're going to handle in the next chart, are things like write a book. Now, you probably have thought that Joe and I would say, write a book, as like books are kind of our thing. But we've got lots of good reasons, and we're going to discuss these reasons as we go through this, why writing a book might not be the thing to do right now, but it could be. Who knows? So it has to be what's right for your business. Things like Facebook Lives, I don't know. We're going to take them on to the next chart, which is the why chart. Joe, anything else you want to add before we move on to the next 10-minute section?
No, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so as before, it's over to you, because really we can talk about this forever. We can discuss this for you forever. But what you need to do is you need to think now. You've got all these Post-it notes, and you're going to actually move them into one of these 5 columns. And you're going to decide now. And you're going to come up with some that you're not going to do. Now, the prize is going to be for the person who comes up with the most not to do's. So I don't know what the prize is yet, we haven't decided, but there will be a prize for the person who comes up with the most not to do's. So you're going to have 10 minutes, listen for the bell, pop messages in the chat, and we'll respond to you quickly in the chat now in this 10 minutes. But otherwise, go off and do your own truth chart, remembering to be truthful. Okay, 10 minutes and we'll be back. Listen for the bell. Okay, we'll be coming back fairly soon. We've got another couple of minutes, but just like to answer a couple of the questions that we've been getting in the chat. One of the questions, a fascinating question from Carrie, was about the difference between value, increased value, and increased perceived value. And what's perceived value? Well, perceived value is a fascinating whole subject, because basically perceived value is in the eye of the beholder as you class it as perceived value. So you need to change it from perceived value to actual real value so that you can put a number on it. So my suggestion is, if you think it's going to add perceived value, then look for the numbers. So look for the proof, look for the examples, look for, count it up. So then you can turn something that has a perceived value into something that as actual measurable value, and that makes it much easier, for example, to sell the idea to yourself or to somebody else. Hello, is everyone back? I think we're getting some really good comments in the chat. Apparently Emma's got a massive butt, but you know, I could have guessed that without her telling us. So Emma, would you actually like to share your massive butt? Yeah.
Thanks, Des. Yes, I've got 4 in my nose list, but one is a massive one. You know, I juggle many different things, and I've got 2 businesses that I'm running at the moment. One is myself as a mentor and a consultant, and then the other business that I've been getting off the ground and trying to run for the past couple of years is a training company. We've done a lot of face-to-face training. I've got a few clients that I figured out I can just switch from the training business over into my consulting, mentoring / training a little bit. And so I'm going to shut down the training business for now. I'm going to park it, so I can come back to it if I want to, but I'm just going to park the business for now and just leave it dormant until maybe 18 months time, and I can come back to it.
I think that's a really, really smart idea, because that's actually taking control of the deciding for now, making the decision that's right for you for now. It's not a decision forever, but for now. And it's a great idea, because in 6 months time, 12 months time, 18 months time, things will have changed. And as we get to the end of this process, you're going to start to see how all the decisions you're making now, often now, but the benefit is that when you get them out of your head can actually get on and do something more useful. So thanks, Emma, for sharing that. So, Joe, do we want to? Is there anybody else who's mentioned that we saw in the list that we need to bring in?
I really like what Rosemary has said. No more side projects, no more favors, no more multitasking. I think they're great, like general rules. That are often the things that get us caught up.
Yeah, Rosemary, they are a brilliant list. No more side projects. I fall into that trap daily, like, oh, this looks exciting, this looks fun, I'd love to have a go at that. So yeah, no more side projects. Fab idea. Okay. Ditch the shoulds. Sophie, good idea. Yeah, the shoulds are those things that just sort of follow us around, making us feel crap the whole of our life. Yeah, ditch shoulds. Love it. And what else did we have? Yeah, Estelle parked the podcast this morning. That's a good idea. Because whilst a podcast might be right in the future, right this minute, it might not be right for you now. So this making the decision for now frees your mind, it frees you from the chaos, and the constraints of saying no or go help you actually move forward. No more shiny object syndrome for now. Love it. Okay, good, everybody, great. And Carrie had some really good questions on the perceived value, and we might do actually a whole thing about perceived value in one of another calls, because it's a fascinating subject.
Carrie asked a question in the chat, Deb, you may have missed, which is, should you get numbers on stats to back it up if it's in the don't know? And I think with perceived value, yeah, you want to try and find some real value.
Yeah.
Some actual measurable value, even if it's, I don't know, let's say it's PR and it, like you think it's going to do something, but you're thinking, well, how do I measure that? If you can measure it in leads, brilliant. If you can measure it in sales revenue, brilliant. If you can measure it in how much it would have cost you to get the same exposure for the same kind of money, you could measure that and then see that as an increased value or a generate revenue. There's never any right or wrong answer. We're not saying never do anything. It's just knowing when not to.
And there's a really good, brings us back to the constraints thing, which is start with constraints, because Carrie, what you can say to people is try it, do it for a set period of time, for a set amount of money, box, constrain the idea just for a short amount of time. Or as I've forgotten the guy's name, small bets, take small bets rather than put all of your efforts into one. If you're really not sure and you want to test it, you can do that, but take small bets. Don't put all of your hopes and dreams and onto it. And while you're taking that small bet, measure. Do everything you possibly can to measure it. Okay, are we feeling happy to move on? Okay, Joe, it's over to you with the most powerful question.
Okay, well, since Simon Sinek made it his goal to suggest he invented the word why, it's been around for a lot longer than Simon Sinek's book. And actually, I was lucky. This time last year, I was in Japan and I was wandering around Toyota, watching them operate at kind of world-class levels of removing waste, getting things right first time, treating the next person in their process as their perfect customer, and everybody was sort of doing that. It was an amazing experience. And we've been asking this question in a slightly different way, and Debs will tell you about the way we used to ask this question. But really, it's about asking the question why enough times to get to a root cause, or in the case of what we're doing, the root purpose behind the things we've put on the list. Why are we doing it? And there's really only three reasons. It's either generating revenue, it's increasing value in terms of creating an asset that you can generate revenue from, saving time, improving a process, or it's necessary in order to fulfill your business functions. Those are the only things. So some of the stuff now we're going to move on to in the don't know pile is to ask these questions. And it's really weird. You might only have to do it once or twice, but you get a really strong answer very quickly if you start drilling and digging for the reasons.
Which brings us on to the reason chart. So the why question, why are you doing these tasks? Why are you even considering doing these tasks? So these are for all the tasks that fell into the don't know yet column. Okay, so these are the things that you just don't, you kind of like, it feels like a good idea, someone else did it and it looked good, you know, you've been thinking about it for a while, but you're just not sure, you just don't know yet. So like Joe said, when you ask why around 5 times, you will get a better reason why. I usually ask it as so what, and a lot of my clients will hear me say so what, so what, so what, so what, and fortunately I'm at the other end of camera and they can't slap me. The why chart, asking why, will get you to the real reason why you want to do it. Now we've got a lot of cards that we can put onto the why chart that we took from the other one. Let's have a look what we brought out. So we had learn to make funnels, write a book, start a podcast, update website, Facebook Lives, do a webinar, make product. These were all the things where we weren't really sure if we should do them. We weren't really sure if they were going to make generate revenue, increase value, and they certainly weren't necessary because they would have gone in the necessary. We just weren't sure, and we didn't quite feel comfortable yet to dump them. So this is why they're here. And we understand, we get these things too. And you're just not sure. So this is how you find out. So we're going to ask why. Joe, what should we pick? Should we pick write a book? Oh. Joe, you coming back?
I forgot to unmute myself. So yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we're going to pick one of these. So this is what you do with yourself. Now, if you're very, very lucky, you might have a business partner or a mentor or a coach or somebody that you can do this with, because it's hard to do this by yourself. It's much easier if you have someone to bounce it off and someone who's going to really, really pick apart your reasoning and actually make you accountable. So, Joe, you told me you're thinking of writing a book. Why?
Yeah, well, our clients, one of the things they do once they get their books from us, so I'm a publisher, is they ask me, what do I do with the book now? How can I use it to grow my business? Yeah, so lots of our authors are asking for what do I do next, a bit beyond just the launch.
So why will writing a book, why will you writing a book fix that problem?
Well, at the moment, I'm having one-to-ones. So I'll have a one-to-one marketing call with everybody that comes through. So that's taking up a bit of my time. Writing a book will enable me to get that to them more quickly.
So why will so basically, I think you've answered your question already. So I don't even know if we need to ask any more whys. We did 2 whys. Joe had got 2. Sorry, that was the Spanish 2. We can do that in Spain. With 2 whys, Joe had already got to his reason, a really good reason. It's going to save him time and make his clients happier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe, where would you move book to?
It feels like a necessary, but it could easily go into go as well. It feels necessary because I will say I've also made a promise. I've actually started this book. So yeah, I'd say go. So
this is the book publisher talking about writing his own book, by the way. So just to make it very, very clear, we all have this thing about, should we write a book? Should we not write a book? You know, it's not.
Can I just say, no agenda, depending on the why, it might have fallen into no. It could have easily fallen into no.
And we can look at that actually. We've moved book into an interesting category for you to have a think about. So you can do that question with any of these 5 whys, with any of the tasks that you've still got left in this don't know yet. So for example, do a webinar. Why are you going to do a webinar? Because I want to get myself in front of my audience. Why do you want to get yourself in front of your audience? So it's ask yourself the 5 whys on any of your tasks that have fallen into this category, into the not sure yet category. Okay, you're going to get, well, you know how to do this now. You're going to get 10 minutes. I really, really want to know. So when you're doing them, you need to put them in go, definite go. You need to put them in necessary, because you've changed your mind now. It's a real necessary. Or you can put them into no, which is no, I'm definitely not going to do them. I can't think of a really, 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 really good reason why, even though I've asked the question why 5 times. So then what we're going to do is we want to move them down to the pain or gain grid, or hopefully you will have put a few more in stop. So again, tell us how many stops you've got, tell us how many you're not going to do, and any ones that you're having challenge with, pop them in the
Are you going to show the example of these now, Deb, before we go to the exercise?
Yeah, well done. Yeah. So we move.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. We moved them all to more or less these, for this fictional company we were playing with, this fictional question. So write a book was in go, make a product or do a webinar was in necessary, and no, we had update website yourself. And we'll come to that. It's quite an important distinction. Learn to make funnels. We're going to come to why that's an important distinction. And Facebook Live and start a podcast, we put them in no. Okay, learn to make funnels, we put in no, because learning to do the thing might not necessarily be the best use of your time and effort.
And so the questioning might go, I want to learn to make funnels. Why? Because I need a funnel for my business. And then it'd be why, if you only need one funnel for your business, would you want to learn to do it? Often some of the things you think you need to learn to do, you're better off. And we'll come on to that, getting somebody else to do them.
Yeah. And that gets you to your goal faster, because that's the whole point of this, is reduce the things you need to do, get to doing the most important things for your business faster. Okay, so you're going to get the 10 minutes, you're going to do them yourself, listen for the bell, tell us how many no's you've got, tell us how well you're doing, and if you've got any questions. Okay, go for it. Okay, guys, are we back? Just checking for faces. I can see faces. Yeah, I think we're getting people back. We're having some really good comments and stuff in the chat. So one of the interesting points that's come out, Rosemary asked a question about her intuition is telling her to stop doing stuff, but the scarcity feeling and the scarcity mindset is overriding this feeling, and it's causing slow progress in a million things instead of massive progress with a tapered mission. Yeah, I get you. I think we're probably all going, yeah. Well, a million little things or one thing. So if you imagine you've got a million little things to do and each of them needs that energy to push it along, so you've got a million of the balls in the head and each of them needs energy to actually move, you're putting yourself in an exhausting position. You're actually creating more stress. So the advice is, and it's not our advice, only our advice, but the advice is to just stop, focus on one thing. There's a really great book called Essentialism. There's another great book called The One Thing. You cannot focus on multiple things at once. If you don't believe me, just try it now. Try it now. Get your pen, stick it in front of your face and focus on it. Go on, do it. Karen, I'm watching you. Joe, get your pen, stick it in front of your face. Okay, you can focus on that pen. Look at your pen. Now try and focus on something to the side at the same time as focusing on your pen. Now try and do a jiggly dance, move around, do everything you want to do while still focusing on that pen. You're creating extra stress trying to focus on that pen and focus on the things around you. You cannot focus on this one thing in front of you and all the other things at the same time. So you have to decide just for now. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to do those other things, and maybe in the future, maybe that future could be a very short future. It could be a week or 2 weeks' time. But just for now, buy yourself a bit of space by just saying no for now. Put things to the side, swipe them, the Tinder for ideas, swipe them to the side, leave them aside. You can come back to them. It's not forever. So that is my, like, you know, you just have to stop fearing and know that for now you can just pause. You can just stop on those things and focus on one thing and do that to fruition, do that till you got really, really good at it. Okay, so stop doing everything, start doing one thing. That stops and starts. Joe, anything more you want to add from the conversations in the chat?
Moving things, we've had questions around, so what if it's a personal thing? Often that doesn't belong on your business list. There's a payoff. For instance, if you use the process we're doing here, nobody would have a dog on the planet. It doesn't fit. It doesn't add value to business. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have dogs. Some of the things we learn, like you can see little guitars behind me. I'm not particularly good. I'm not in a band. I'm never going to get paid for this. I still like to do it, and I'll occasionally do a course on that. And that I see as recreational. And we used to call it, when it was purely about marketing, the good webinars, we call that kind of stuff recreational marketing. You usually see people with big budgets wanting to spend money on a rebrand because it's fun. It's much more fun than calling up leads or doing sales or handling some of the kind of more difficult admin stuff. So it's worth keeping those things, just bearing in mind they possibly don't have a direct impact in terms of the business outcomes that we're looking at for this detox.
Yeah, okay, I think that's great. And we're having some really good conversation in the chat, so keep the questions coming in the chat. Now, we're probably going to do a hot seat with somebody if we get enough time. It looks like we might just about have enough time. So if you want to be in the hot seat and you have something burning you want to discuss with us, put your name and put hot seat and what you want to be hot seated for. And if we've got time, we'll do you. And if we haven't, we'll do you privately. So put your if you want to be hot seated, what does hot seat mean? We'll actually help you take one of the tasks that's troubling you or confusing you or you're not sure about, and we'll help you go through that now. Okay, so but for now, before we do the hot seat, so put your name in if you want to be hot seated, but for now let's just move on to the next step. So we're really getting close now. We've taken a big load of ideas, all this chaos going on in your mind. We've actually got it out of your brain to give your brain a little bit of space and put them down on the post-it notes. We've moved some of them. We've got no's on some of them. That's fabulous. That buys you space. It buys you time in your brain and in your marketing and in your business. So that's great. But we've still got lots of stuff that we've got to do. And now we need to decide who's the right person to do it. Okay, so this is where we come to the pain versus gain.
Deb, can I just check? Are we going to
Yep.
hot seat? We've got 2 people asking about the why, whether it's worth doing a hot seat now.
Okay, so we want to do a hot seat on the why before we go on. Okay, let's go back. We'll do a hot seat on the why. We've got 2 people. We should have time to do you both.
So Rosemary said yes first, and then Simon Beckett.
Okay. Rosemary and Simon, ready for the hot seat, guys. Rosemary, unmute yourself, Rosemary, if you can work out how to do it. Otherwise, I will if you haven't.
Yeah, Rosemary's on.
Right, Rosemary,
Hi,
tell us
can
what
you
you
hear
want
me
to be
okay?
hot seated on.
Okay, great. So when I was working on that, the 5 whys, and I spent the whole 10 minutes on only one, and I wasn't even even finished with that. So I recognize that I really have some deep diving to do in this. And one of the things that I think circles around is the fact that I am drawn to like multiple interests, and I have multiple business ventures, right? And then one of the easier startups that I was working with, right, is in the realm of like CBD. I'm a nurse. I work in ER, and I highly believe in like, CBD and its effects on, health and holistic well-being. So I have also aligned myself with in the network marketing space, and I see the value of really showing you yourself versus who you think you are, versus who you really are in the terms of like being able to sell, able to market, able to grow, able to coach. And I see that value there. But I also want to focus on my primary business passions. And I am feeling very conflicted on the energy that I put out. I'm fearful that I'm putting out a lot more energy into the network marketing space versus the energy that I want to put out into my business. But I feel kind of conflicted there. Like, I don't want to stop. I do have team members with me, and I feel committed to people in my upline, and I don't know how to move past that because it keeps circulating. It's stagnating.
Yeah, I get why you're struggling. It's back to what Debs was saying with the pen, which is you're focusing on 2 things. And so the first thing you might want to do is work out which one, going all the way back to the truth chart, which one of those 2 big things is likely to generate the most revenue now. It doesn't mean you'll drop the other thing completely, but you can only do one thing at a time in order. So it maybe you need to cycle these things, or actually say, I'm going to park that, and I've made a really good business and personal case why I have to wait for a while. And I'm not here to tell you whether it's the network marketing business or your core business that needs the most attention, but I would choose one. That would be my advice, because I can understand why it conflicts, because they're constantly competing for your attention.
I would agree with all of that, and add another question is, whose business are you building? So if you're working for a network marketing business, you're ultimately building their business. So it may be that you need that business to keep it going. It just brings you nice income, but I wouldn't necessarily, this is my personal opinion, I wouldn't necessarily be putting more of my attention and energy into building somebody else's business. Okay.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much.
Rosemary, afterwards, if you want, we can have a little chat. Simon, let's do Simon. Simon, hot seat you. Thank you, Rosemary, so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary. Hi, guys. Thanks for that. I've got lots more in my no list, which has really helped. On the what I need to do now, and this is what I'm struggling with. When I go down the why, there's 2 things I keep coming back to, and both of them seems to be a long-term thing. And I'm thinking, do I bin both of them? I've got in my head a podcast going down there to help build the credibility. It's nothing immediate. I'm not going to get an immediate thing from it, or writing a second book that takes me into a different direction. I know I spoke to Debs about this as well, and both will achieve the same thing, one in a new area, one in the area that the space I'm already in. So, but both of them are not now. Both of them are not going to make money. Both of them will take all my time up. Both of them, I'll be yelling, swearing and screaming every Saturday when I have to plan it. So do I bin all of that?
Yeah. Can I jump in? Because I think like my agenda is you should do a second book, but actually that's not the right thing in this case. In this case, you've already got a book, which the job of the book is to position you as an authority. And now I'd be looking, how do you leverage the book? Now, if you put a podcast in front of the book and you constantly mention the book, you've got a way of generating leads from the podcast, and you're hitting 2 channels rather than one. You've got to listen and you've got a read element to your marketing mix, your messaging, your content. I would go all in on the podcast. I think you'd also be brilliant on podcast. It's going to suit your audience. They'll be all over it. And then I would put a proper, and I know you've done a little bit with funnels from what I know, Simon, with your book. I then make the book the excuse for the lead gen, and really the existing book for now. When you know it's proven and it's working perfectly, then you've got an excuse. So I'm going to set up another one of those lead streams with a second book. But I would be, knowing how hard it is and how much effort you have to put into a book, you could smash out loads of content on a podcast really quickly.
And it plays to your strengths. Simon, you're already fantastic in front of the camera. You're fantastic. You know, you can explain yourself really well. It plays to your strengths.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking of doing both, like it may be that the book doesn't go off your list entirely. We'll look at that shortly. So we're going to do a couple more things. You don't have to say no to the book now, but I think if I prioritize it, I'd go straight for podcast.
There's something, my industry is changing. And what's scaring me is, I've always said in 5 years' time, my industry will change. I need to change now. And because of COVID-19, it's changing sooner, quicker. So that is a concern that I have nagging away there in the back of my head. But I suppose podcast is great for the industry I'm in currently. But it's, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't want to get rid of it, but maybe put it into next year or further on. Okay.
Yeah, so for now you can keep it on the Y chart. We will deal with when to do it, and it may be a year's time.
Yeah, so we'll move that onto the pain or gain grid, and then we'll move it. So I would put it in your go or necessary. Keep it in your necessary. We'll move on to the pain or gain grid, and then later we'll put it on the priority slide. And the priority slide will determine when you do it, if at all.
Cool. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay. Thanks. Right. Okay, shall we move on? Right. So pain and gain. So you've got all this stuff now that you've collected. You've got all these things that are generate revenue, increase value, are necessary, and you just got a big pile of them. So one of the challenges, especially for small business owners, especially for expert businesses, is as they grow, they feel this need to actually do everything themselves. It's like, you know, I got here from doing everything myself. I'm going to get further by doing everything myself. So we're asking you now to take a moment and decide who should be doing the jobs and how these jobs should get done. And some of these jobs, yeah, of course, you guys are going to have to do them yourself, but some of them you might not have to. And imagine how that's going to feel when you decide that you can either outsource, you can hire an expert, or you can automate some of these tasks. It gives you more time and energy to do the tasks that are right for you. So that's what we're going to look at here. So the pain versus gain is the how and the who. We're looking at high gain, high pain would be things when you would hire an expert to do, because it's going to give you good benefit for your business, but it's going to maybe be quite difficult to do yourself. You might hire an expert or recruit somebody within your organization, or recruit a new person to your organization. If it's low gain and high pain, you might outsource. For example, you might outsource to a virtual assistant, and we have a lovely virtual assistant, Jennifer, if anyone wants to. Don't make her too busy, she has to take care of me. But Jennifer would help you and take on some of those tasks that are lower gain but much higher pain that she can handle, that a virtual assistant.
And I just say by pain, it's either your ability or your time or willingness, like something you just don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that creates pain. It's not necessarily because it's difficult, you just don't want to do it.
Yep. And in the outsource as well, we also suggest that it's not just outsource externally to your organization. It could just be delegate. So if you have people inside your organization, what tasks are you doing that you could delegate to somebody else? In the low pain, low gain, they're the automate tasks. These are the things like, for example, some of the social media repeat type things. You can automate that by getting the right software. Smarter Q, for example, or Hootsuite will actually help you repeat some of your content without you having to do it. That's an automate type task. And over in the right hand corner is the priority slide. So this is where the gain is high and the pain is low. And so they generally, those tasks are tasks where, again, as Joe said, pain means that you can do them yourself, so that it's low pain to actually be able to do them. And the gain is high for your business, so it increases revenue or it generates revenue or increases value, but you're not quite sure when you should do it. So this is the pain versus gain. So what are you going to get for what you do? How are you going to do it? And who are you going to do it with?
I'd
So
just say in the high gain, low pain, it's often the things that founders and business owners are the best at, like selling their stuff, talking about the things they're passionate about, will be low pain for you. You've got all the skill and ability to do it, and you get a big uplift from it. So those kind of things really should be there. And you can kind of look around this kind of list. The higher the expert stuff, you may need to pay a bit, but they're going to have done this thousands of times, so they're going to do it better. And the outsourced stuff, you may not have to pay so much, but you know you can earn more doing the thing you're supposed to be doing instead. And the automated just things that you should be constantly doing to generate and increase business value.
So it's again about the efficiency and effectiveness of who should do it and who should not do it. So let's have a look at some of the things we could do on the pain versus gain as an example. So we had all these things, we brought them down from the previous slides. So these are all the things that you're thinking of doing for your business. Now you have to decide how you're going to get them done and who's going to do them. So these are some things. So for example, do a webinar. Simon, you could put podcast here for you, for example, do a podcast. You're the right person to be able to do that. The gain is high and the pain for you for doing it would be relatively low. And let's move some of the other stuff on. And oops, let's go back one. Okay, so learning to make funnels. Okay, learning to make funnels is not necessarily a good use of your time. Hiring an expert who can set up a funnel for you, which is a high pain job, but a high gain activity at the other extreme. So that might be a thing where you would hire an expert. Writing a book could be where you would hire an expert as well, because you know, if it might be high pain for you because it's not your core business, but you could generate lots of business from it, so it could be a high gain. Automating is, for example, following up leads, and when we discussed earlier, like social media automations. Outsource tasks, you might, the GDPR, someone asked earlier what's GDPR, this is the rules we have to stick to in Europe for handling the data of the people that we interact with, and it's very, very important. It's a legal requirement. So it's a high pain activity because it's so complicated and or can appear very complicated, and there's low gain because really, basically, you know, there's no massive benefit from doing it, but you might go to prison if you don't do it well. So you probably want to outsource that to somebody who's very, very good at it and has done it multiple times. Okay, anything you want to identify in here, Joe, in particular?
No, I'd just say, like, if we look again, what's landed in the priority slide, things like making products, that's going to come from your knowledge, your skills, your ability. So relatively speaking, the gain is usually lower. If you actually have to kind of physically make some of it and you've got a specific task, that might go into the hire an expert. I would also say warning signs, if it's low gain and high pain, I would do a double check, should it even be there? Because often you might want to dump that. And likewise, some things that are low gain and low pain, they may not even be worth automating. They may be worth just stopping, changing your process. So it's always worth thinking those are kind of like the warning quadrants, is just check, should you be doing these things at all?
And again, on this chart, you can still get rid of things, you can still stop. This is another chance at going through another filter to say, should we be doing these things? And you can still say no, you can still take them off and put them in your stop, and so that you can win the prize.
And I'd say the other thing about the other quadrants is they kind of transform the task. So do accounts is no longer do accounts, it's find an accountant or find a bookkeeper. GDPR is no longer do GDPR, it's find someone to do GDPR. Learn to make funnels is no longer learn to make funnels, it's find somebody to make a funnel. So it does change slightly. We're not going to do that for this exercise, but just bear in mind it kind of transmutes the task. They're all going to end up on the priority slide. Once they've done this, they're all going to end up on the next slide.
Yeah, and remember that at the moment we're looking very, very high level for these tasks. When you get around to actually doing them, you'll probably break these tasks down into smaller elements and schedule those as well and take those elements through one by one. So, but for now, we'd like you to take all the tasks that you have and decide where to put them on the pain or gain grid. So are you going to outsource them or delegate them? Are you going to hire an expert or recruit an expert within your company? Are you going to automate them, use software to take the strain? Or are you going to do them yourself and move them into the priority slide as a task for you? So you're going to have another 10 minutes. We're getting towards the end, and I'm sure, you know, we're starting to clear the mess around and starting to get rid of some. I really want to know how many more how many more tasks you say no to, and we're still looking for the winner of who's got rid of the most tasks. And don't just throw them all away just for the sake of it, you know. You're all winners, really. So 10 minutes, put your things in your pain or gain grid. Excuse me. Just sat on my microphone. Hello. Wasn't a pleasant experience. So how has that been feeling? We've had some good comments in the chat again. Joe, do you want to handle any of the chat questions?
No, so we got a really good one from Karen, which is with an automated newsletter. So yeah, you'd want to automate the newsletter, like sending it manually would be a bad idea. If the task was just newsletter, you could say, yeah, it goes to automate, but actually setting it up is a discrete task. So it's fine to add to the task, automate or set up newsletter, and then pop it on the priority slide as a job to do. And you might even want to quantify that, like get 12 issues ready or write 6 posts for the newsletter, so that you've got a bit of automation in up front. It's possible if you didn't want to do it yourself, you might be hiring an expert to do that kind of thing. It's all relative depending on what's painful or easy for you. But yeah, often you can transform, the task will transform slightly to be an action or an activity.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. So any of those tasks that you're feeling, well, I will automate it in the future, this is one of those types of tasks that transform. So first of all, you have to do the setup, and that might require putting it on the priority slide and deciding, but then it will get put into the automation. So it comes off your daily activity and it gets automated. So you transforms as you start doing the task. And Carrie, sorry, we're doing your brain in. But like Joe said, all detoxes, any detox you've ever done, I regularly detox from chocolate cake. It feels a bit weird at first, but after a while you start feeling better and you do get the benefits.
And I would say emotionally, like it's a mixture, isn't it? Because there are things you're going to be letting go that you thought you've been hanging on to for potentially months, maybe even years. So letting go of those feels a bit kind of at first. When your to-do list is clearer and you've got a bit more clear vision in front of you of what you can do, and you've got more time to do the things that you are still on your list properly, it will feel better. So it is like a detox. It actually, you might get a few spots and feel a bit rough while you're detoxing, but the future benefit is worth it.
Okay, so we should now have only got tasks left in our hands that are going to go out to our priority slide. So we know we're going to outsource some tasks, we just get them done. We know we're going to hire experts, we get those done. We know we're going to automate some tasks, we've got those aside. So now we've only got the stuff that's on our priority slide that we need to fix. So we've been bringing them down each level and bringing things down to the priority slide. Let's have a look at a priority slide. This is our when. So when are you actually going to do these things? The thing about priority slide, and Joe and I have discussed this a few times about changing the name from priority slide, but the thing about priority slide is that priorities slide, and that's okay. But you do have to actually begin somewhere. You do have to put things into a when. You have to decide a when. And this is how we suggest you decide your when. So along the bottom, we've got year, quarter, month, week, and day. And along the upwards and downwards side, we've got low, medium, high, and awesome for how much impact you're going to get from doing the task. So let's have a look at some of the tasks we've dragged down. That do our webinar. I've always got one that's coming up wrong that I didn't automate properly. Anyway, priority slide examples. So these are some of the tasks that we brought down in our examples that we've been doing with you. So for example, the GDPR, when should that get done? To do accounts, follow up on leads, create a course, write a book, make a product. And these tasks, you now need to decide how much impact are you going to get from them, how much benefit are you going to get, how much gain are you going to achieve from getting these tasks done, and when should they be done. We've zapped in quite a few for you to show you what we suggest for some of these tasks. And again, it's not necessarily that these are going to be right for you. Your tasks will look different. The things that you think you should do first will be different. But, if you're just having a quick look at this now, the most awesome impact you can have on your business is by today following up on the leads that you already have. Now, that's going to generate revenue. If you do that right, if you do that well, that's going to generate revenue. If you don't know how to do that right or do that well, then that first task that sits up there might be get trained in how to do that right or how to do that well. Because following up on open leads, following up on the opportunities that are already sitting on your desk is a really great and awesome way to make some impact on your business. So we've put the other things in there. Joe, are there any of those in particular you would like to discuss?
No, I mean, I think just following up on Simon's question earlier, write a book here, for instance, has awesome value. And I know, Steve, you mentioned it's kind of a tick box exercise for you. You've got other things that are probably filling this right hand side of the priority slide that need to be done first, and a book's like a nice to have for you. So while it can have an awesome impact, it may not be the most immediate thing. Typically, and this is where I work with clients, like if they haven't got a business with a product that they can sell for at least £2,000 to £3,000 sitting there with their business, I wouldn't be prioritizing writing a book. There are more important things to be doing first. So it's really where you're at on your business journey. What have you already got set up? But I'd be, you know, before write a book, I'd definitely be having make a product. So that will have a more awesome value, and it's more relevant and more immediate. You need that before there's any real huge benefit in writing a book.
Okay, and another thing to note is the day, so that the tasks in the most right hand side, so follow up leads and do GDPR, these are the things that you're going to do today. Tomorrow, these things all might slide across. This is the thing about a priority slide. The slide in the priorities, it's not fixed, it's just for now. It's just a snapshot in time. And these snapshots that you need to be taking of your business, that you might repeat this weekly, you might say, okay, where am I moving things in my priority slide this week? And you might do this quarterly, and you might do a detox every 6 months or every year to actually clear things up. Once you get comfortable with this process, you will do this automatically and fast. The inputs will come in, the black box in the middle, which are all these lenses that we've introduced to these tools that we've introduced to you, will help you decide what comes out at the end of this process. It's a process, it's repeatable. You can do it again and again and again. And you don't need to worry about it. You can just follow the tasks through. So you've now got on your desk a pile of post-it notes that need to go on the priority slide. I'm going to give you 4 minutes this time, because this is fast now. We got fast. I know it's going to say 10 minutes, but don't believe what it says. It's 4 minutes because we're going to finish on time today. You've got 4 minutes to get your tasks priority slided and let us know if you actually get rid of any again. And we're now getting to the point where you need to tell us, you need to count up how many tasks you've said no to, how many tasks you've stopped. So in the comments, any questions you've got, any problems you've got, and also tell us how many tasks you've got in your not doing pile.
Just
okay,
so one very brief thing. The low impact year's time, double check you actually should be doing that. This is one last chance to dump stuff. Feel free. If it goes in that bottom left quadrant, which is a red square, you may need to stop doing that and put it on a kind of a park it for future list, or remove it. Go.
Yep, great. So that's a really good point, because this is your last chance to get rid of things that you're planning on doing. So if you want to win the prize, get it in the stop pile. Okay, we're going to be quiet for a little bit, 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll come back. Okay, guys. So hopefully that's gone really, really well. It looks like it's going well. We might have a winner with 12 tasks in the no column. Anybody going to beat 12? Jennifer, you might be our winner today. We'll have to think of something special prize for you. Unless anybody beats, we're going to say Jennifer's the winner unless anybody comes up with more. But for now, okay, I hope you can feel that you've now got some priorities that you can focus on. You know what things you could be doing today and this week. You know what things you might be doing in a month's time. You know which things are going to be awesome and get your business going really, really well. And you've hopefully reduced the chaos in your brain so that you can create more of the white stuff, because the white stuff, guys, that's your stuff, that's your clever, that's the things that only you can do, that's the special magic that you guys bring to any interaction. And when your brain is full of everybody else's stuff and all the things that you think you must do, you don't have time to actually get that brain energy working on the things that you could do and that will benefit your business. Okay, so we're coming up to towards the end. So does anybody have any burning questions? If you want to ask us a question, pop it in the group chat right now. Pop a question in. If you've got any questions, we'll see how many we can get through. So if anybody's got a question, pop it in. If there are no questions, Joe, have you got any questions?
Has anybody not moved something to the no pile at all? Just we've been
question.
tracking for success, but has anybody kind of felt they didn't get anything into the no pile?
Oh, looking good. How does this look on the micro level? So Rosemary, how does this look on the micro level? Are you thinking of what do you do on a day-by-day basis? So what would you do this morning? What would you do in the afternoon? Is that what you're thinking there? Do you like to unmute yourself? You can discuss that. You're okay, I think I can understand. So you've said a yes, that's great. So that micro level, so I've got this big picture, now of my chart of what I need to do on my priority slide. So it's Monday. What do I do on Monday? This is where I would use the 3 F's constraints chart, which is focus, future, finished. It's a Kanban thing. I'm an engineer by background. I'm a reformed engineer by day, and you can't get the engineer out of me. I like to move things from piles to piles. So I would use the 3 F columns. I would have focus, future, and finished. And in the focus thing, each day I would say, what's my focus for today? And I would put one thing in there. One thing, when it's ticked, I move it into finished, and then I'll move the next thing from future into the focus. But I wouldn't be multitasking. I would be focused on one client, one job, one activity, one task, until it's got to a completion point that satisfies me. So that's what I would be looking at to do on the micro level. Use the 3 columns, focus, future, finished.
And I just actually say right at this point, I meant to mention this earlier, years and years ago when Debs and I used to work together, I'm great at starting stuff. I'm really, really so good at starting stuff. Deb got me a t-shirt and it said on it, stop starting and start stopping. And that's really what about this focus to finish is actually getting things off the list, start stopping things by getting them done. So yeah, it was a great t-shirt. I wish I had a picture of it. Wouldn't fit me now. A little bit bigger.
So to finish up on that is like, so stop doing the wrong things in the first place, and then start stopping things to get them finished, get them done, so that you can feel the satisfaction from seeing your finished pile, your finished column grow massively. You're not adding spurious items and filling your brain up with things that you shouldn't be doing. So you feel better, you feel more confident, you go in your head more competently and confidently. Okay, so right, final house things now. If anybody wants to give us some feedback, we really want feedback. So if you've got anything you want to tell us, you can tell us privately. You can pop a message to Joe or myself, or you can tell it in the group chat if you want. But we would really love your feedback. The replay will be available. And some people came on, some people couldn't stay for the whole time, some people didn't get in quite on time. But the replay of the chat and the slides will all be available. And obviously there's always something in it for someone. I am developing what I'm calling the Chaos Compass. If you want to come and join me and be a founding member of the Chaos Compass, listen on. If not, would like to say goodbye to you now. Thank you so much for all your attention. I will be sending out a message with the links to the replays. I will also be sending out a networking spreadsheet, because one of the things we can't do these days, COVID days, is communicate one-to-one, go out to networking events. So I'd like to turn this into a bit of a networking event. If you want to put your information on the spreadsheet, please do, and then other people can contact you. Put your business address, your website address, and your LinkedIn and your Facebook. But please don't be an armor. Don't go and spam these lovely people who've been on our event today. So be kind, be cool. And if you want to hear about the Chaos Compass, stick around. Otherwise, I'd like to say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here, and give us any feedback if you'd want to. So bye bye. And if you want to hear about the Chaos Compass, stick around.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, very, very, very briefly, guys, because I know we're all really busy and it's tiresome. Okay, I am setting up the Chaos Compass, and if you want to become a founding member of the Chaos Compass, the price is going to be really, really, really low, as you would guess. One of the things that I'm helping people do is what I call in the asset path, which is taking all this chaos in their head, forcing it through the right constraints to create stuff at the end, and then taking that feedback back and going through the process again. So this is what I'm going to be developing with you over the next year or so. Now, if you want to become a founding member, then I'm going to help you discover what assets you should create for your business that's going to make your business more valuable, that will generate revenue and increase the value of your business. You will all get a 15-minute chaos consult with me, and we'll fix whatever burning issue you've got right now. I charge £300 an hour, so for the price of this, for a 15-minute consult, promise you it's going to be good value. We'll also, every single month, I'll be doing one of these type of events. We'll cover the things that are important to you. And it's going to be an intervention or an interactive, something like this. But every month we're going to do something new, and we're going to cover something new. I'll also do a monthly Ask Me Anything. So you get to ask me whatever else you want to ask me within reason. And I'll help you get over those problems for anything to do with your business. Also, you'll get access to all the recordings of all of the events that we do, including the transcriptions, because for me, I'm a person, I prefer to see things written down. So you'll get the transcriptions, I'll provide you with those, and PDFs of any of the slides. You'll get access to toolkits, cheat sheets, and specially created assets that I'm making, especially for the clients of the Chaos Compass. So these will be things that will help you, checklists, tick lists, things to help you get actually making assets fast. And you're going to get discounts, massive discounts actually, on any creation courses in the future. And I've got a few in the pipeline. And also you can ask me anything as many times as you want in the 30 days, but only one a day. So you can ask me a really long question if you want, but be kind, don't exhaust me. But it'll be email consults, one a day. And the benefit of joining the Compass is that you're going to get clarity and control of the chaos of what's going on in your head, so that you can actually get things done and feel comfortable doing that. Founding members, so these are the people I'm going to be taking on. It's really going to be a very few, limited number of members, but founding members, you can lock that in for £120 paid now for the whole year, and it will stay that price forever for you. And in the autumn, I'm going to open it up at a much higher price for other people. So stay on the call to get the link. Otherwise, thank you so much again. Thank you for coming. And if you've got any feedback for us, just pop us a message. Okay, so those of you, I've sat down, so I've just disappeared from view. Hello. So those of you still on the call, what I will do is I'll make a note of who's still in. And I will pop you all a little message with how you can get this for this really good price right now. Joe, is there anything you want to say or add?
No, just thanks everybody for showing up. As I kind of didn't really say at the beginning, I've got no agenda here other than me and Deb's created some of these tools a while ago together, and it's good to engage with them and to see you all and hopefully help you out, get a bit clearer, and also do it myself. because we often forget to take our own advice.
Yeah, and I find that we always teaching the things we need to learn
Yeah.
most. So. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted,
Okay.
Ian, you mentioned something in the chat which I thought was really fascinating. So I just wanted to respond to that, and now I'm struggling to find it because we've had so many. No, I lost it.
If anybody wants to say anything, by the way, you're allowed now. You can unmute yourself. Andy, I see you've unmuted yourself. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you very much. It is. I was going to write this, but I'll say it. Great to see the old band back together, doing some lead marketing. It's got that great, you know, every now and again I've mentioned over the last 20 years, why didn't you do some lead marketing? So that's fantastic. Thank you very much. It's as good as ever. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna pop off now.
Okay,
I'll
thanks,
see you.
Andy. Thanks for being.
Won't see you in Norfolk, I don't think, Joe. So nice to see you. On
Yeah,
the call.
no, not this year, I don't think.
Yeah, well, we'll speak on Zoom or something.
Yeah,
so
see you
take care.
soon.
All the best. Thanks.
Andy.
Cheers.
Okay, guys. See you all soon. If you've got any questions or you want to get in touch with us, our email addresses were on the slides, and I'll be popping you a message out soon.